Hey, so I have a question to ask you. You listen to Linkin Park, right? Of course you do. Have you ever noticed that the first verse from The Catalyst eerily matches up to Kyle Reese's speech about the Terminator? Oh, you didn't, because you're a sane person with a social life. Honestly, that's fair. What's that? Yeah, I completely agree. Linkin Park is one of the greatest bands ever. I'm glad we could clear that up. I've been Sir Lionheart, and you have a great taste in music. Thanks for watching. Okay, that's obviously not the end of the video, but that's essentially the gist of it. So why don't we break this down and overanalyze the shit out of it. Now, I do want to state, this entire video is Michael Jordan Space Jam levels of reaching. So before we start, I'm going to do a bit of mind reading and answer some preemptive questions that you probably have. 1. Is what I'm going to be talking about meant to be taken seriously? No, obviously not. I'm just some knob on the internet who likes Linkin Park and the Terminator movies. 2. Do I have any professional qualifications to be talking about any of this? No, of course not. Like everyone else on YouTube, I love the sound of my own voice and know absolutely everything. Please refer to my answer for question 1. 3. When am I going to make another video like Dino Crisis 2? For what's worth, I've got 2 gaming related videos in the works, with one of them very much being like DC2. And the most important question, am I gonna make this weird? No, come on man, you can trust me. It's me, Sir Lionheart. I'm a cute floating head. We're mates, right? Okay, sure, I've spent the last 17 or 18 years listening to Linkin Park. All that means is I clearly know what I'm talking about. But don't worry, I'm not gonna make it weird. And yes, I do have a tattoo of the band's logo, but I mean, who doesn't? And I mean, who else would write a letter and give it to Mike Shinoda during a meet and greet in 2018? But I'm absolutely not like those other maniacs you hear about. How embarrassing would that be, right? Now that we've cleared up the fact that I have no business to be talking about any of this and I should seek therapy, let's get to the point. So, Linkin Park released an album in 2010 called 1,000 Suns. The album was unlike anything they had released up until that point. ATS was far more experimental with its overall presentation, both sonically and visually. To begin, you couldn't classify it as a new metal album like their first 2. Minutes to Midnight, the last album that they released in 2007, was far more popular alternative rock compared to 1,000 Suns. This was a concept album with no real connecting narrative between the songs, so there wasn't a cohesive storyline. The album instead focuses on multiple concepts to do with humanity's self-destruction, which leads into nuclear warfare. Each song is its own journey, like an abstract collection of stories that can be encapsulated by 2 sentences that tie the whole thing together.
God save us, everyone, will we burn inside the fires of 1,000 suns?
This is a very on-the-nose reference to the nuclear genocide that took place in Hiroshima and Nagasaki during the Second World War. Those who survived describe the flash of bombs going off to be as bright as 1,000 suns. Those lyrics are heard in at least 2 songs, one of them being The Catalyst. I'm not going to go through the entire album to try and make it sound like all of ATS is based around the first 3 Terminator movies, because that would be actually mental. We're going to be looking at the first verse of the song. For the Terminator movie, let's skip to the scene in question. It's 1984. Kyle has successfully found Sarah Connor and is attempting to escape with her in a stolen vehicle. What are they escaping from? Well, the cops, because of the shootout that they were just involved in. On top of that, they have to deal with this other very small, not important issue, which is to not get murked by a soulless killing machine that was sent from the year 2029. You know, a typical Tuesday night back in 1984. Sarah, very understandably, attempts to escape once they're in the clear. Kyle's interpersonal skills aren't that great, but he follows that up by basically making it look like she's his hostage. Kyle then explains the following. First, his name, rank, number, and his mission. Second, who the big friendly giant is that they met earlier.
I like turtles.
And most importantly, that Kyle and the Governator have travelled back in time to the year 1984 from at least 40 years into the future. Sarah attempts to escape, cause stranger danger. Kyle restrains her once again. But Sarah gets hungry and takes a nibble. Future Boy finally clocks onto the notion that his post-apocalyptic prophecy isn't exactly an easy sell. Changing his tone, he calmly pleads with her to believe him. He does this by stating the following.
That Terminator is out there. It can't be bargained with.
It can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear, and it absolutely will not stop. Ever. Until you are dead. What the fuck?
Sarah tries to rationalize her statement, momentarily indulging into this crazy idea that this motherfucker might actually be telling the truth. With this, she somberly asks,
"Can you stop it?"
I don't know. With these weapons, I don't know. Fuck!
Now let's review the opening to The Catalyst.
God bless us, everyone. We were broken people living on a loaded gun, and it can't be outfought, it can't be outdone, it can't be outmatched, it can't be outrun, no.
Putting both of these statements side by side shows us where the possible alignment takes place. Whether this is intentional or not, the verse from the song and Kyle's speech almost follow a similar structure. I didn't make this connection until recently. I assume I'd heard the song prior to rewatching the movie for the 11th time, but once Kyle said those lines, my mind immediately went to The Catalyst, and that train of thought went flying off a bridge. If I haven't lost you yet, let's properly get into tinfoil hat mode. It's not so much the words being used by Kyle, but it's the way it's being said. Now I'm sure there's other media out there that has sentences structured in a similar way, so why single out this one specifically? We get two different stories that use mankind's own worst creation against itself. With The Catalyst, it's heavily implied that the event taking place is to do with nuclear in some form. In the Terminator, once Skynet is fully active and in control of Earth's defense systems, it wastes almost no time in launching nuclear warheads across the Earth. When Kyle answers Sarah's question about his version of the future, not having seen the war, if you could call it an actual war, but instead enduring what came after. For all Sarah knows, this could have been a very elaborate plan for Kyle to get laid tonight, which, fair play, it's very convincing if that was the case. Back to the song. The Catalyst feels like a pivotal point in A Thousand Suns' story which determines the outcome. One critical plot point of the movie is to stop this nuclear event from ever happening. Okay, take the tinfoil hat off. Put a bigger one on. In the movies, what do they call this event? Judgment Day. Using our magical powers of reaching, you could place the Catalyst as the event in question. And when I say Judgment Day, it is absolutely not religiously inclined, and I want to be very clear about that. In this context, it means a doomsday scenario that is man-made. The Catalyst is the second to last song on the album, and it was also the lead single for A Thousand Suns. So this song should technically be the listener's introduction to the album. You start off by listening to the end, but you have to listen to the album to see what leads up to the Catalyst. As a listener, you know what's to come. Judgment Day, regardless of the classification, is something that humanity cannot stop. You can delay it as the sequel shows, but as the album lays out, you can't escape it. The Catalyst is the song that would play as the world's being nuked, and would make for a great Dragon Ball Z style music video, aka the moment humanity peaked and it's been downhill since then.
Dark.
With that being said, it's not all doom and gloom. There is very much a positive follow-up to each story. If you've seen any of the Terminator movies, you know that the humans survive Judgment Day, and overcome this nightmarish future thanks to John Connor. That's because Badman JC rounds up a posse and mashes up that bomber-clot Skynet. In A Thousand Suns, The Messenger, the last song on the album, could also be interpreted as the survivors using the Catalyst as a reason to create a new society. One that's built on hope and kindness, rather than greed and violence. With it being the final song, it has the most positive outlook of the entire album. In conclusion, the next time you watch The Terminator or listen to The Catalyst, tell me what you think. And don't tell me that you think I need to see a therapist because I am way ahead of you. A Thousand Suns is one of my 3 favourite albums by Linkin Park, and the first 3 Terminator movies are great. Yes, including Rise of the Machines. Sure, it wasn't as good as the first 2, but being able to see the rise of Skynet was pretty cool. I also enjoyed the overall message that you can't stop Judgment Day, something that A Thousand Suns also alludes to, depending on how you're introduced to the album. How do you feel about this observation? what you disagree with. Share your thoughts in the comments section. I've been Sir Lionheart. Now you can take off your tinfoil hat and go listen to some Linkin Park.